Hey all, welcome to the second video in the Nginx series. In the first video, we saw about the basics of Nginx, which included installation, creation of virtual server, and location blocks. If you haven't gone through that video, I will reference that video on top. I recommend you to go through that video to have fair bit of understanding about the location blocks, which would be useful in this video. In this video, we will try to understand what redirection is, how we can write a rewrite rules, usage of try files, and logging. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So I have my Nginx already running. It is serving the website that we created in our previous video, which consists of three files, the index.html, style.css, and banner.png. First, let us try to understand what redirection is. So before we look into redirection, let's try to demonstrate it using an example. Let's say I have a location block defined, which is listening to a path. Let's say that path is not existing image. Okay. And within this, we say return 301, which is the status code for redirect. And we say return banner.png. I save this configuration, I reload, and what I will do now is try to access this not existing image. If you notice, what has happened is it redirected to banner.png and the URL also changed. So what has happened? Now let us look in detail. So what we will do is we will go through the developer tools and try to request that path, that is not existing image. And the moment we press enter, you see that there are two requests. The first request is it is asking for not existing image. So the request has gone to Nginx. Nginx has written 301 as you see here, and within the response headers you will see a location field which indicates which URL the browser should load in order to serve that request. The moment browser sees this, browser makes another call to that requested URL that was returned as part of the 301 redirect. And that's the reason you see the URL has changed. But this is not what we generally need in real world, right? So what we would want is the URL to remain same. That mechanism is called as rewrites or forwarding. So what happens is we receive a request on a particular URL and we say that rewrite it to a particular URL or forward it to some URL within the internal server where it knows how to evaluate. Okay, so what we will do is we will write a rewrite rule. Okay, so let's write a rewrite rule. Say rewrite if something begins with not existing, then rewrite it to banner.png. Okay, we write this, we save, we reload this configuration. So what we need to understand here is rewrite is a directive. Okay, the first argument is the path that we want to rewrite or handle in a different way, and the second argument is the path, okay, which will get evaluated by the Nginx. Now here we don't have any location blocks defined. Here we are just saying serve banner.png, and the Nginx knows how to serve this because this file is present in our root. So in some time we will look at how this location blocks also works, but for now let's keep it simple. Okay, so I do a reload and we will try to request this path that is not existing. Okay, so if I request this path, you see it has served banner.png and my URL has not changed. It is still the same URL that was requested by the user. And this is how rewrite works. So basically Internally, the Nginx has forwarded the request and it has returned the resource that the browser can render and show it. Perfect. Let's look a little bit in detail. What we will do is, let's change the rewrite rules to something like, if something starts with, let's say, users slash and it is with some word. So I'm using a regex basically. It can be a slash user slash something that is present after that. If that happens, then you redirect to slash profile. Okay. Now slash profile we don't have. So what we will do is let's create slash profile as in a this is a prefix location block. And here we say return 200 user profile. Okay, we do this, we reload our configuration and we try to access. Okay, so what we will do is slash user slash Durgadas. You see, it has come to slash users is re-returned to profile. So what happens internally is slash user slash Durgadas as I requested becomes slash profile and it is redirected. Okay, what if we wanted to capture this so that we can handle it differently? In order to do so, what we can do is whatever the expression we want to capture, we can add it within the bracket, and the same can be accessed using a dollar variable. This first one will become $1, and similarly if you had something more, you could access it with $2 and so on. Now this same one slash user slash Durgadas will happen slash profile slash Durgadas. So what if we wanted to handle this differently? For that, let's say I write another exact match location. It says that if there is something called profile slash Durgadas, then I say this is Durgadas, this is profile. Okay, I say Durgadas profile. Alright, and what we will do now is we will reload this configuration. Okay, and it has failed. It is because I have not added the status code. Okay, so if everything is good, now if I request this, you see Durgadas profile, because what this happened is slash user slash Durgadas here got rewrite to slash profile slash Durgadas, and that gets reevaluated by Nginx and it finds that there is a exact location block for that URL and hence it renders that. Similarly, if I had done something like slash user slash John, then this would become slash profile slash John and that would get matched to this prefix block because we don't have any block that is exact matching that particular URL. So if I refresh, I put John and I enter and you see it gets rendered by this location block which is the prefix block. Okay. Now let's say I requested slash user slash John, and let's say I had another rewrite rule here which says if something comes on profile slash John, then serve banner.png. Okay. So what will happen is, let's say we reload. Now if we request user slash John, then the first rewrite rule would rewrite it to slash profile slash John. Then we have another rewrite rule that says if we have something called profile slash John, then serve the banner.png. So if we request, you see the banner.png has got rendered. Okay. But what if we did not want multiple rewrites to happen in this case, right? We had one URL that got rewrited to another URL, that URL got rewrited to the third one and so on. What if we just wanted a particular rewrites to be final rewrites? In that case, it's as simple as you just appending last keyword onto your rewrite statement. If by adding so and reloading our configuration and requesting slash user slash John, you see it has now rendered this location block, and the rewrites on our line 14 has not taken effect. Perfect. So this is how it works. Okay. So the next thing that we need to understand here is the try files concept. Okay. This is all we had to know in rewrites. Okay. As we say, the rewrites can be a performance impact, but because of the higher compute power and processing power of the current machines, it might go unnoticed and you might not see any performance issues that are barely visible to the eyes. Okay, next thing what we will see is the concept of try files. Okay, to understand the concept of try files, what we will do is we will clean up entire thing. The try file syntax is little bit different than how rewrites work. So for that, let's say if we have something called try files, it can take as much arguments with the fact that the last argument gets reevaluated. Okay, so we'll see what it means. Let's say the first part is, let's say we have banner.png. Okay, what it says is, when this gets evaluated, look for this file, that is banner.png. If this file is not there, then look for some other file, that is, let's say, some location, image.png. Even if this is not there, then look for something called, let's say, error 404. Okay. Now this slash error 404 is the one will get evaluated because this is the final argument. Let's just write a location block for slash error slash 404. We will write simple 404 and say not found. Okay, let's keep it very simple. Okay, let's load this configuration and see what happens. It doesn't matter whatever the URL is, because as we saw here, no matter what the URL is, it will always try to see the first argument here. Okay, banner.png, does it exist? In our case, yes, it will serve. You see, if this did not exist, then it would have gone to image.png. Image.png also doesn't exist, so it would go to error 404, which being the last argument gets reevaluated and it gets matched with the location block, and we would get 404. In order to demonstrate that, what we will do is, let's just change this to banner1.png, reload this configuration, and as you see, banner.png doesn't exist, nor as image.png, so it will go to error 404 and show 404 not found. So let's try this. As you see, not found. Okay, but here if you see, what are we trying to do, right? We are requesting slash user slash John, but this is not at all what we are referencing here. I could do any crap here, right? And still it would look for banner1.png image and that, which is not the practical way. In order to do that, what we need to do is try to get the requested URL and see whether we know how to evaluate it. If we don't know how to evaluate it, then give it a alternative, like what it needs to do. In order to do so, what we need to do is we just need to append the first argument as $URI. If we look at the Nginx location variables, $URI gives us the requested path. Okay, in this case it will be slash crap. Okay, slash crap doesn't exist. It will try to look at banner1.png, which doesn't exist. It will then fall back to image.png, which also doesn't exist, and lastly it will go to error 404. Okay, so let's try this. We will reload. Okay, and now let's try to do something called not found. We enter, it goes to not found, right? Even if we had something like valid URL, let's say greet. In this case, we don't have greet, but let's say I had a location slash greet which says return to hello from Nginx. Let's see if we do this. We reload. Now if we try to access slash greet, okay, which is the first URI, Nginx knows that there is a location and it will render. You see, hello from Nginx. But similarly, if we try to access something else, what am I, which the Nginx doesn't know, because what will happen is what am I will be the first URI here. It won't know what to do. It will go to banner1.png which is not there, image.png which is not there, and eventually it will go to the error not found, as you see here. Okay, so this is how try files come into picture, and these are very useful, especially when you want to serve some kind of a static web pages within React which also has servers, etc., right? If you're trying to request anything within a server that is cannot be rendered, then internally look for index.html which is served by the static website, and so on. Okay, so what we will do is we will try to take this kind of examples in further videos where we take some real world example of a React and a backend server and see how this configuration will come handy. Okay, so this is about try files. The last thing that we want to discuss in this video is about logging. Okay, in order to do that, what I will do is I will remove all these things. I will clear. I'll just keep slash great. Okay, and I will reload my configuration. First thing what you need to understand is all the logs will be present by default if you are going by the package manager installation in the slash where slash nginx folder. Here you see there are two kinds of log files. One is the access.log and another is the error.log. Access.log, if you see, prints out all the URLs that we requested. Okay. Now, for example, we had requested slash greet and you see those, right? First time it was 404 because we'd never had greet. And after that, we had 200 and then what am I, which is 404. Okay. Similarly, error.log will have certain errors that happens where the Nginx doesn't know what to do. Okay, if there is a error that was handled gracefully within our configuration, that it is not an error but our application has said it's a valid error, then it will all be printed in the access.log. The error.log will print the errors that Nginx doesn't know what to do. For example, if you had some kind of a syntax error within your Nginx configuration. So what we will do is let's try to what we will do is let me clear out this error.log. Okay. So what I will do is I will make it blank. Okay. Okay, let's have it similar because I don't want to go through the permissions issues here. Okay, so what we will rather do is let's make a small error here. What I will do is I will make a purpose error here, okay, which is the location is spelled as locations and I try to reload. Okay, reload failed. Okay, we could also get this error using if we had done nginx-t, which would indicate that locations is unknown directive. But what we will do is we will try to look at the error.log. Okay, you see the same issue is also logged in the error.log. Okay, so all the kinds of error that Nginx doesn't know how to handle or how to render, or maybe there is some problem in our configuration, those all will be logged within this error.log file. Okay, so what we will do now is we will change this back. Okay, there is one, let's say access.log directive where we can tell, okay, what should be the, we want all this to be logged, access related to be logged in a separate file, that is grid.log. Okay, so you can reload the configuration, and now if you look, there is grid.log. Okay, and if I tail grid.log currently, and if I try to request grid, you see that grid access log is logged into the grid.log as we indicated here. The moment you override this, this access will not be logged in the global access.log. If you want this to be part of both the logs, then what you can do is you can add an additional access log statement and specify access.log. This will ensure that any request that comes to /grid will be logged into both these logs. Otherwise, if you don't have, you override it with your custom log location, then this location will only be logged in that particular file. Okay, one thing you need to note is if your website is getting heavy traffic and you have access log enabled, then it could literally flood. Okay, so I would not say it is a good practice or bad practice to keep this enabled, but what I generally recommend is enable the access log only in case you need it for a specific path or anything, right? If you want it for audit, etc. Otherwise, the recommendation is to just keep the error log on, and access log you could turn it off. And to turn it off, it is as simple as you just need to say access_log and you have to type off. And now if we reload our server and let's say tail, okay, and we request, you see we don't have any access logs being printed because the access log is turned off. This is the basics about the logging. There are much more advanced logging techniques that you can use within Nginx to define the compression level, the log levels, like whether you want to print what kind of logging levels like info, error, etc. All those are part of the advanced configurations which we will not look at. But in case you need to use it for your project, then you can look at the Nginx documentation. But more or less for general use or even for 90% of production use, this configuration should work out well. Okay, so that's all I had for this video. Hope you have liked it. If this was useful, do share it with your friends, give it a like, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, then do subscribe it so that you get notification on all the good videos that I make in future. All right then, thank you very much, take care and have a good day. Bye bye.